Hello, coming live from Austin, Texas, my new home. And it feels so good to be here. And it feels so good to be back sharing some insights, some lessons, some tools to all you beautiful people out there. I have missed you. But I also am really grateful that I was able to take the last month to focus on my move down here. So as some of you know, I lived home over the last year in my hometown after living in LA for 10 years. And I never thought I would move back home. But when COVID struck and I realized after doing a lot of deep meditative work, the real next step on my healing journey was actually to go back home and face some of the blocks I had gotten kind of stagnant with on my own healing journey. Because here's the truth, your biggest lessons and your biggest breakthroughs come from healing your familial and ancestral wounds. So that can feel really hard, but that's because it's supposed to, because the most painful and challenging lessons are the ones that give us the biggest breakthroughs and expansions. And when you take the time to heal those family wounds and ancestral wounds, you'll actually start to see the lessons that you gain from that, the change you gain from that go out into all of your other relationships, your work, the way you handle just random people, and yourself. So today I want to talk about setting healthy boundaries with family members, because that has been one of the greatest lessons I learned over the last year being at home. And I didn't live with any family members. I did for a month, but then I was by myself. But I was seeing family members all the time, talking to them, and just being in my hometown alone reignited a lot of the old learned behaviors and patterns that I honestly had been running away from up until that point. And that's okay. Look, the ego wants to protect us and thinks that it's good and safe to run from our pain, but the ego doesn't know what's best. Your intuition does. Your intuition, which is the God within you, because God is not outside of us, it's within us. That intuition knows that actually the biggest pain points are, again, our biggest breakthroughs. So I went home and it was so difficult, so trying, and I did share over the last year some of those more in detail stories of breaking through and healing my abandonment wound and abuse wound and depression and suicide, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about anxiety later this week. But right now, all of this ties into how I realized a lot of those learned behaviors started from my home life. And my family was doing the best they could, but it wasn't what was best for me. And the thing is, we have what's called a pain body, and that pain body reverts back to those memories when it's around the people who have hurt us or have taught us to live certain ways. So now that you know this, you'll notice it whenever you're around family members or even high school friends, college friends, or old relationships. So what we have to do then is set healthy boundaries to protect ourselves from reverting back to that pain body. So we're going to have to set those healthy boundaries and then take intentional time on our own to reflect on those learned behaviors, reflect on how they have served us up until this point, and then release them with gratitude. So you're essentially recognizing this cord or this lack of boundary that exists, recognizing how it has served you up until this point. We always want to release any pain, any old behaviors with gratitude, because it has served you. And then saying, okay, I no longer want this, cutting that cord, and then deciding, how do I want to move forward in this relationship? How do I want to show up around this family member? How do I want to show up? And then that'll also show up in your other relationships outside of family. But your family relationships are your most important soul contracts. So any pain, any blocks you're feeling, take it back to your family wounds, your ancestral wounds, and you're getting really to the root of it. Like literally, it's tied to your root chakra. Your root chakra is that family, that sense of belonging. And then a lot of pain also comes from the sacral chakra, which is our more formidable years of learning who we are. And we learn that also from family members. So for instance, for me, just to share a little bit about my own journey to help you, I was realizing that with one family member, there was this cord of feeling responsible for one another, feeling codependent. And it came from the fact that, there was an abandonment that we both experienced growing up, not having one of our parents around. So we became codependent on each other. And as I began to heal this codependency, I began to break free and become more independent and loving. There was resistance. And I noticed myself going back into my pain body and wanting to take responsibility for this family member, and felt guilty for healing myself. And I recognized this, and I realized, wait, I have a choice here. I can continue taking this responsibility, living this unhealthy pattern, or I can cut this cord and create a new one. And oftentimes we think, well, but that's family. You need to be there for them. I'm here to debunk that, because that's not true. The best thing you can do is look at what's best for you, because you are only responsible for you. And actually in doing so, you are a prime example for that other person, if they so choose to see it, for how to heal. You are not responsible for their healing journey, especially even your family members. So I noticed this pattern of codependency, and I decided I don't want to do this anymore. So I cut that cord. I reflected on how it had served me over the last, almost 33 years of my life. And then I realized, okay, what's the new contract I want to write? And the thing is, you don't actually have to do this with the other person. It's something you should first and foremost do with yourself. And then you can energetically drop into a meditation and speak it to that other person. Especially because I know for many of us, there are relationships that we actually can't heal face-to-face or phone-to-phone. So I want you to know energetics is the first and foremost most important thing. And then if it feels right to you, you can also look into having that conversation, to the person. But first and foremost with yourself. Make sure you feel steady and ready. Otherwise, you will just revert back to that pain body with them. And the other big lesson here too with family boundaries and any boundaries is sometimes the truly nicest and kindest thing you can do is take space. We think, oh no, we can't not talk to them, da-da-da-da. Why? So you just keep living the same lie, you keep hurting yourself and really hurting them too. It's okay to say, I need some space. I'll reach out when I'm ready to talk to you. So if you needed to hear that, there you go. All right, so now we've talked about setting some healthy boundaries with family members. I hope that it has served you. I'd love to hear what resonated for you in the comments below. If you have any questions, again, comments below, send me a message. And I'll also list out those questions again with the tools to help you, so that way you can refer back to it. So sending you lots of love on your healing journey, and remember that I love you just the way you are.